Hello and welcome to the Weekend Eve. I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. Yeah, thank you. That was killing me. I have a lot of backfeed in my ear, so it's sometimes it's hard to talk when you are trying, you're trying to talk to get everything going, and you've got all this backfeed in your ears. It's completely gone. So thank you very much. So, anyway, I am Brian Kress, the awesome voice. This is Any Given Sunday on KUAW. Uh, Coach 24, Darwin Penny. He is out of town again. Business duties going on. Hopefully, he will be back next week. And Jan Hanley, who was supposed to come on the show and take over as he did last week. Come in. He had some wife duties, so he wasn't able to make it either. So anyway, so it's just me running the show and the man that's behind the scenes running the show, DJ Scatter, George Walker. Mr. Walker, how you doing this evening, sir?
Just a second.
Oh, now he's telling me just a second. So, but anyway,
I'm doing just fine. Just
oh,
fine.
that is awesome. That is awesome. And he was kind enough to give me a hamburger. It was a half a burger, but still, it was a really good burger. I guess upstairs they are doing some cooking, and one of the young kids came down and offered him a burger, and Mr. Walker offered half of it to me, so I was greatly appreciate that. Now, the funny thing is I had to peel the cheese off because obviously I do not like cheese. For people who know me well, know that I do not like cheese. So it was all good, but the burger was awesome. It had some lettuce. It had a little bit of ketchup on it. Man, it was an awesome burger, so I greatly appreciate that. So tonight, I was actually going to wear my Dick Butkus jersey because last week we had talked about Dick Butkus passing away, and he had just passed away, and the news of it coming out was just as I was en route to come to the station to do our show, and so I wanted to wear the jersey to represent. Well, the only way I said that I would change it is if I got my new jersey that I was getting in the mail. And today, when I got home, I checked my mailbox, and in here is my jersey. I've got my Patrick Mahomes. It has the white sleeves on it. It looks pretty cool. So I had to represent. And it helps that the Kansas City Chiefs are right up the street from us, getting ready to play their Thursday night game against the Denver Broncos. And and Kansas City, with one of the best records in the NFL, is facing a Denver Broncos team that is just totally fallen apart. And it is just what you normally say is a blank show, and you can fill in the first word of that. I will not say it. I'm trying to be nice and polite and not getting in trouble with anybody. So, but the Broncos are a mess right now, and they traded Randy Gregory. They said that Jerry Jeudy is supposedly playing his last game tonight as a Denver Bronco because he will probably more than likely get traded. Frank Clark did not play tonight's game. They said he has some illness, but I think what it is that he was sick of the Denver Broncos and he wasn't going to play for them. So saying that, I really think that the Chiefs should pick him back up. And a lot of people go, are you crazy? Well, first of all, if the Chiefs pick him up, they only have to pay $740,000. That is not much. Now, for me, that is like $1 trillion, because I don't make that much money with the job that I do. Uh, but the thing of it is that he has playoff experience, and when he was in the playoffs, now maybe his season totals was not as great, but man, when it came to the playoffs, he showed up and he balled big time. And I believe he's a sack and a half away from getting the NFL record for most sacks in a playoff in the playoffs. So all-time playoffs. So he is the type of guy you don't need to get him now. Get him in here, get him ready, let him play. He can play a few plays. You're not playing Chris Jones 100% of the time. You're not playing Dana 100% of the time. Those are guys that you have to give breaks to. It's not like Patrick Mahomes. It's not like the offensive line. The offensive line will normally play 100% of the game. Patrick Mahomes will play 100% of the game, unless, like earlier in the year or a couple of weeks ago against Chicago Bears, he was able to have the rest of the day off because they had an extremely large lead against the Bears. So that's the only way. But when you're a defensive lineman, you got to rest up. And when they played the Jets last week, and the Jets really gave them a battle, they were bringing in fresh legs. So, like, they would play like 4 or 5 plays, and then they would get somebody in there and replace them, and then they would go in. And then that's how they did that. Well, that's how you got to do it with defensive linemen and even some of the linebackers. Excuse me. So, but our defense has been playing great. You don't need to run them down. Aaron Donald does not play 100% of the time. He plays maybe 70% or maybe 60%, and that's okay because, like I said, you have to rest him up. So bringing Frank Clark in here, and I know the other lineman is going to come back in, I believe, after his 5 or 6 game suspension, and he will be back in. So we'll have another lineman. But I would like to see the Chiefs bring in Frank Clark. You can never have enough defensive lineman help, and our defense is playing really well, and I really think it would benefit. So saying that, I am going to skip with the football right now, and I'm going to go into baseball because last week Jan and I, we were talking about the baseball, and yes, I'm trying to find my notes. And so, last week, all 4 teams, they won the series. They swept Texas over Tampa Bay, and Minnesota, Arizona, and Philadelphia all swept 2-0, and they went in on their best 3 out of 5. Well, Baltimore got swept by Texas. Now, saying this, Baltimore won 100 games for the first time since 1980, and that was the year before Cal Ripken Jr. Started playing for Baltimore. He was still in the minor leagues with the Baltimore Orioles, and then he came in the next year. So 43 years that the Orioles had not won 100 games, and they won 100 games this year. Saying that, they've been swept for the second straight year. Now, they were in the playoffs this year, and then the last time they were in the playoffs, it was in 1980 or 2014. My mistake. In 2014 was the year that the Royals had swept everybody, had swept California or Los Angeles Angels. I'm so used to them still being the California Angels. the Los Angeles Angels and the Baltimore Orioles. They swept them. Well, they got swept again, so it's still been a long time since the Baltimore Orioles have won a playoff game. Excuse me. And so, saying that, Texas, that kind of fell apart and stumbled. You know how, like, you're trying to get to the finish line and you're stumbling and you're falling and you're crawling and you're trying to get there to the finish line. Well, they barely made it through the finish line. Well, all of a sudden, now they took care of business. They took care of Texas, or took care of Baltimore. Now they are got to play the Houston Astros, the defending world champs. And saying that, I don't know if Texas has enough firepower against Houston. Houston has played really well. Now they beat Minnesota 3-1, but they have been the best team, and they were tearing it up at the end of this year to overtake the Texas Rangers so they could have the bye. So they had to rest and was able to get ready for their match with the Minnesota Twins. So starting on Sunday, Texas and Houston will be playing the first game of the American League Championship Series. Now, saying this, what I like, well, and I think Houston is going to win. I think this is a 7-game series. I think Houston will win. Now, I think they will go. It's going to go 6 games. I don't think it will go 7. I think Houston will take care of them, so they don't have to. They won't go all the way through for 7 games. But I think Houston will win in 6 games. And so I had Baltimore beating Texas, and so I was wrong about that. Now, I had Houston beating Minnesota. I was right about that. And I've had Atlanta beating the Philadelphia Phillies. But here's the wrong one that I really picked wrong. I picked the LA Dodgers. And Jan, last week, if you guys remember watching the show, he picked the Arizona Diamondbacks to beat the Dodgers, and they shut them down and shut them quick. The pitching, which actually has been getting them through the playoffs, Clayton Kershaw, 16 years, and he is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. Got lit up. He gave up 5 runs before he even gave up an out. And he got out of the game. He only had a third of an inning, gave up 6 runs in the first inning, and they struggled from then on. Arizona won 11-2, and then turned around, won 4-2, 4-2 in the other 2 games, and swept the Dodgers. And now they are waiting for the winner of the Philadelphia Phillies and Atlanta Braves. And I'm telling you right now, I really thought the Atlanta Braves were going to win. I thought they had the team. Their offense was good. Their pitching was good. And Philadelphia right now is walking in there. And Bryce Harper, who I've never really been a big fan of, and I've kind of questioned him being a major leaguer. No, he is a stud. He is a flat-out stud. He hit 2 home runs yesterday to take the 2-1 lead over the Atlanta Braves. And then I guess he glared at the shortstop for Atlanta because I guess the Atlanta shortstop had made a comment towards Bryce Harper. And I'm telling you what, right now, I wouldn't get Bryce Harper angry because he is just playing huge. And if you had a MVP of that series, right now it's Bryce Harper. Now, saying that, they are playing tonight at 7 o'clock at the same time the Chiefs are. So I don't know how many people are really going to watch the baseball game. Now, probably a lot of people who don't have Amazon Prime, who is going to try to watch the Chiefs game, um, and will not be able to unless they go to a bar or go to a friend's house or whatever. Then they'll probably end up watching the Braves game. And yes, I do not have Amazon Prime, and no, I'm not going to get Amazon Prime just so I can watch football for 18 weeks of the season, and um, and that's it, because that's pretty much the only reason why I would get it. I can go to a club or a bar and watch it there. So, or go to friend's house. I do have friend's house now. Mr. Walker, do you have Amazon Prime?
No, I do not.
Oh, we'll see. Then I can't ask. I can't ask Mr. Walker if I can come over and watch him, because then we would be looking at a blank TV and see that. Now, somebody just sent me a text message and said possibly the game could be on channel 41. So, so maybe Mr. Walker will do some research for me and see if that happens. And if that happens, then that will be great, because then I can sit at home and watch it. If not, I can go somewhere and watch it. It's not a big deal. So, but anyway, the Phillies are playing at home against Atlanta, and they can end the series with a win tonight over the Atlanta Braves. Now, if they do not win, then they have to play again Saturday in Atlanta, and that would decide who will play the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they were 16 games less, or they won 16 games less than the LA Dodgers. Like I said, the LA's pitching was just horrible, but the Arizona pitched lights out, and they just had enough hitting to get through and beat the Dodgers. So they will be waiting for the winner of the Philadelphia's Atlanta series. So so that's going to be a good one. Now, saying this, I told you, I said I'd take take Houston in 6, 4-2. I will not pick a Arizona series yet until the games are completed. So anyway, so by the time I am off work or by the time I'm off on this show, then the game will pretty much be started. So anyway, now I'm going to go back to football. And last week we were talking about Dick Butkus passing away. And I was going to wear his jersey, and yeah, I ended up wearing my Mahomes jersey and everything. Here's the thing. I got his last set of predictions before he passed away. So I put him in with mine also. And so here's the funny thing. He picked the Washington Commanders last week to beat the Chicago Bears. Now, how ironic is that, Mr. Walker? I know, I'm.
So NBC is carrying the game, but I've got to see if it's on 41 here locally.
Well, if it's NBC, then that's what it is. It's a channel. Well,
right.
Right. Well, actually, it's.
Yeah, it's 41.
It's 41. And on cable, which is Comcast, it's channel 8, which is what I have. And so I guess I didn't look at channel 8 very well, because I was looking at ESPN and ABC, and I didn't see it. And then I looked at Fox and CBS, but I knew that wasn't going to happen, because they were going to have Young Shelton on there, and Young Shelton is always on Thursday nights. So, but anyway, so I have Dick Butkus's predictions, and so I picked Chicago Bears. I picked Chicago Bears purely because of him passing away, and I was figuring that Chicago was going to get pumped up with the fact that um, he of his passing, and the fact that um, they had just gotten whooped the week before by the Chiefs, and so nobody was giving them a chance against Washington. So somehow I took that. But saying that, Dick Butkus took Washington. We all took Buffalo. We missed that. Houston, he picked Houston, and I had Houston too. Now, Coach 24 and Jan Hanley picked Atlanta. We all picked Detroit. I was the only one that picked the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Tennessee Titans. Um, Now, I thought that Anthony Richardson was going to play the whole game and show up and do well, but he ended up getting knocked out in the third quarter, and he is out for at least 4 weeks with a shoulder strain on his throwing shoulder. So now uh, Minshew, Minshew, the porno mustache guy. Yes, he is going to play for Richardson. So, but Miami beat the Giants. Giants are one of the worst teams. And here's the shocker. Everybody picked New England to beat New Orleans, and I was thinking, okay, New Orleans. I was thinking that they were gonna they would have lost to New England, but I was actually thinking about picking New Orleans, but I was like, no, I would figure I would do that, and then Belichick would show up. Right now, they are a mess, and I'm gonna do a comparison right now to the Denver head coach Sean Payton and the New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick in a little bit. Baltimore, I thought they would have played at least well enough to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh didn't really play that great, but they played better than Baltimore, and so we all picked Baltimore to win, and ended up losing. We had Arizona because I wasn't sure about Burrows showing up, and then he shows up. I had him on my bench on my big money fantasy football league, and he pumped in all those points that would have helped me win my fantasy football league game. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So we all picked. Dick and I picked Arizona, and so did Coach 24. Now, Jan picked Cincinnati Bengals. And then Coach 24 was the only one that picked the Rams. He thought that maybe the Rams would beat Philadelphia, and they actually did play him well, but not well enough to win. And then Dick picked the New York Jets, and Jan picked the New York Jets, where Coach 24 and I both picked the Denver Broncos. And I was thinking, I'm not worried about the Nathaniel Hackett, quote and stuff, but sometimes that is the real stuff, and you could see the how the players treated Hackett. In fact, they gave him the game ball after winning that game. So, anyway, Kansas City, Minnesota, we all picked Kansas City. Dallas and San Francisco. Now, that was the game that really, really disappointed me. I really thought that they would show up and play, and San Francisco just gave them a whooping like nobody's business. And the only one that picked it right was Dick Butkus. We all picked Dallas. And then Monday Night Football had the Green Bay Packers. We picked the Green Bay Packers instead of Jan Hanley. So Jan only missed 6 games. So he went 8-6. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I went 6-8. Dick went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He went 6-8, and then Coach 24 went 3, 6, 9, and he went 5-9. So we had a really bad week. Now I would have told you what the NFL Network guys did, but because they were announcing the game in London, the game with Jacksonville and Buffalo, they didn't have it. They didn't show up. So tonight, all I'm going to have is just the game tonight between the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. So anyway. So here is my assessment to the Chiefs. Right now, the Denver Broncos are bad, and so everybody's going, well, yeah. Well, they are last in points scored, 36.2 points a game on defense that they're scoring, and they're only averaging 20 points a game. So, I mean, that's 16-point difference. And, I mean, yes, they got a 70 put on them, but even then, Washington scores 35 points. The Jets score a lot of points. They I'm getting notifications for trades on my fantasy football leagues and stuff. So it's like, yeah, hell, hey, let me stop. I'm going to fix this. No. But I mean, the Broncos have just given up a lot of points. The only points that they did not score or give up a lot of points was, and I'm trying to think. Oh, here it is. It was the Las Vegas Raiders. That's it. I mean, they have been giving up a lot of points to everybody. The Kansas City and also they are giving up 450 yards per game, passing and rushing, and they gave up 221 yards last week to the New York Jets, the same team that the Chiefs shut down their running game. Yeah, I'm still getting notifications. So I was trying to keep my my baseball stuff on there. So anyway, there actually the Braves and Phillies start at 7:07. So, but the Denver Broncos 2 years ago was the third best defense in the NFL. I mean, that they had horrible quarterbacks, but they at least kept the Broncos in the game. They were low-scoring games, but they kept them in the game. Now they are the worst team, and now they're getting ready to do a fire sale on this. And Sean Payton, who is, was supposed to have been the guru to take over and fix the issues, has still got an issue. And so we are getting ready to go on break at halftime on any given Sunday. And so when I get back, I will talk about the difference between what Sean Payton and Bill Belichick have in common. Yeah, the difference is the same. So anyway, I'm going to take a break right now. We're going to be at halftime on any given Sunday on KUAW. 816-599-6893 is the phone number. If anybody wants to call in and speak their piece, and if they have any ideas on you could talk about the game tonight. You can talk about the baseball games or whatever. So we're going to take a break, and we will be right back. back after halftime on any given Sunday on KUAW. Brian Kress, the Awesome Boys, Coach 24, Darwin Penny, also, but he's not here. Hopefully, he will be back next week, and so we can definitely talk some good stuff. But I know that I want to get into talking with him about the Dallas Cowboys, because here's the thing: Dallas Cowboys, when they when in their 3 wins, have sent or have only given up 13 points in those 3 games. But the 2 games that they lost, they were outscored 70-26, and it just it's almost like Dr. Heckle and or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They are just they are totally struggling right now. Now they have a game Monday night in Los Angeles where they're playing the Chargers, and so here's what they're doing. The Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Keller was the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't think that they needed him anymore, or they didn't think he was doing enough, so they just let Mike McCarthy. He decided he was going to run his own plays and send him out of there. And even though the Chargers are 2-2 and they have scored a lot of points, they lost the shootout to Miami, which actually they could have won. Miami scored that last-second touchdown. Saying that, is this going to be another game that Dallas needs to show up from? Because I just don't know. The Dallas has a lot of inspiration to make it to the Super Bowl, and they've really thought this year that they were going to have a shot. I mean, their defense is actually phenomenal, not counting those 2 games. But even with the Arizona game, you could figure, okay, that was, they just had a bad game. Arizona had their number. Well, San Francisco was reading the Dallas's defensive and offensive plays, because they just flat out just rolled all over Dallas. And it got to a point to where Dak Prescott was just making a lot of mistakes. And San Francisco is the team that Dallas wants to be. Dallas's offense is not as good as advertised. I know Coach 24 talks about they lost 18 touchdowns last year in the red zone. Yeah, that is a lot of touchdowns, but you still got to have people making plays, and they are just not making enough plays. I mean, Pollard lost the ball on a fumble. Dak Prescott threw 3 interceptions. You cannot do that in an NFL game, let alone right now the best team in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers are the best team. They have won 15 straight games, which ties their franchise record that they did in 1985, and then they turned around and lost to the Pittsburgh. My correction. 1984 is when they did that, and they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the middle of the season. That was San Francisco's only loss that they had that year. So with that, I have my power rankings for after week 5 of the NFL. So San Francisco is number 1. They are 5-0. Philadelphia is number 2. They are also 5-0. Kansas City, and a lot of people feel that Detroit should be number 3, but I have Kansas City number 3 with a 4-1 record. Detroit is number 4 at 4-1. Miami is 5 at 4-1. Jacksonville, I actually got at 3-2. Now, saying that, they are the first team to play 2 games internationally in the same season, and they played back to back. They are also now the first team to win multiple games in a season internationally, and they have more wins outside the United States than they do inside the United States. But saying that, they have played really well against 2 teams that were that had winning records. You had Buffalo, who just came off an impressive performance against the Miami Dolphins, and you had the Atlanta Falcons, who had just who came in at I believe it was 2-1, or they were actually Atlanta was undefeated at the time, and so no, I'm sorry, 2-1, and so Jacksonville is taking care of that. With that, I have Jacksonville at number 6 with a 3-2 record. Number 7, Buffalo at 3-2 also. 8 is the Dallas Cowboys. They are at 3-2. Number 9 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are 3-1, and they have a game this week against the Detroit Lions. So that is going to be a really great game, a great matchup. Number 10 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And somehow I still can't understand how they could be ranked as high, but they just keep winning. They don't do it, unlike Miami that's scoring a lot of points and everything. Pittsburgh got smoked by San Francisco. Both of their losses have been bad losses, but their wins have been just as impressive as their losses have been really bad. So then you've got Baltimore, number 11, at 3-2, and Baltimore, they literally gave them the game. It was like Kansas City against Detroit. Detroit didn't really beat Kansas City. Kansas City beat themselves, and they made enough mistakes to give the Detroit Lions the victory. Number 12, Seattle Seahawks, 2-2. And they're the only team to beat the Detroit Lions. 13 is the Los Angeles Rams. Even though they're under 500, they're 2-3, they are still pretty decent. Matt Stafford is averaging 290 yards passing per game, which is 4th in the NFL. Then you have the New Orleans Saints. They have lost a couple of games, but then they turned around and had the shutout on the road, 34-0 against the New England Patriots. Number 15, the Cleveland Browns at 2-2. 16, the Indianapolis Colts. I would have never thought that they would have been at least 16 or have a winning record after 5 weeks. I would have thought they were the five worst teams in the NFL, and they have proved me wrong. 17, the Atlanta Falcons. They are also 3-2. 18 is the Houston Texans at 2-3. 19 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They're 2-2. Now, if they can beat Dallas this week, they will definitely move up in my power rankings. Number 20 is the Tennessee Titans at 2-3. 21, Cincinnati Bengals at 2-3. And after this win against the Arizona Cardinals, I really feel that the Bengals could be coming back. They may be almost back to how they were the last couple of years. Burrow had a great game, and Jamar Chase, I'm telling you what, he had almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He just totally lit it up. And when he said he's open, you get him the ball. And Burrow, I think his calf that has been injured since the second day of camp back in August, or no, I'm sorry, I think it was late July or early August. But anyway, he is finally getting it going. So maybe maybe the Bengals will be back to it. So 22nd is the New York Jets. They are at 2-3. 23rd is the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-3. 24 is the Green Bay Packers, and they are also at 2-3. 25 is the Arizona Cardinals at 1-4. 26 is the Minnesota Vikings at 1-4. 27 is the Washington Commanders after the loss to the Chicago Bears. They are 2-3. 28 is the New York Giants at 1-4. 29 the Chicago Bears at 1-4. 30 is the Denver Broncos at 1-4. 31st is the New England Patriots. Now, how can you believe that the Patriots have gone from world champions 5 years ago to being the second worst team in the NFL right now? And they could end up getting worse anyway. They are just a mess. The last two losses have been a combined total of 38-3 and 34-0. So that is 79-3. Those are the two worst losses in Bill Belichick's career. And talk about a fire sale. That's one that's going to have a fire sale. And then number 32 is the Carolina Panthers. So anyway, so that is my power rankings. The AFC, the awards for the week. Offensive Player of the Week was Jamar Chase, of course, of the Cincinnati Bengals. The defense was Max Crosby of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he just kept getting into Jordan Love's face and caused him to throw 3 picks in the second half that gave the Raiders the 17-13 win. And special teams is Greg Zuerlein from the New York Jets. And in the NFC, you have O.J. Moore, who he lit it up last Thursday night for the Bears, and he helped me get 49 points on my fantasy football. Wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. And then defense, Fred Warner. I'm telling you what, I watched that game, and Fred Warner was all over the place. Linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers was the Defensive Player of the Week. And the special teams was kicker Blake Group of the New Orleans Saints. So you got all that going. Now, we're talking about Denver and Kansas City. Kansas City has won 15 straight games against the Denver Broncos. Now, saying this, the Mahomes is 11-0 against Denver. So the Chiefs with Alex Smith had already won 4 games in a row, and they the last time that they lost was the first game in the 2015 year with Peyton Manning. So they turned around and beat Peyton Manning in the second game in 2015, and then turned around and has won 14 straight after that win. It is right now it's the longest active streak. It's tied with New England and the Jets. Mahomes at 11-0 against Denver. It's tied for this. It's tied for the longest by a starting quarterback versus one team since 1950. Now, if he wins tonight as a starting quarterback, he will have that record too. So he is just picking up record after record after record. And Pacheco has scored 3 touchdowns in 3 straight, or scored touchdowns in 3 straight games. And I think he is going to have a great. He's going to have a great night. Now, I'm just seeing that Deshaun Watson, who has been out, he did not play in his last game, and last week he was in a bye, will not play again this week. So he will be out 3 weeks with that shoulder injury. So, and they're playing the San Francisco 49ers. And so, if they had any chance for Cleveland to beat the 49ers, because Cleveland does have a great defense, but San Francisco also has a great defense and they have a great offense. And so, Cleveland last week or 2 weeks ago, uh, playing Baltimore, Baltimore just whooped up on them. I really thought that Cleveland would beat Baltimore, and they turned around and proved me wrong. So, um, I do not see Cleveland beating the 49ers. Now, I know you're going to have Paul Walker going to start. I believe he's going to start for Cleveland with Watson not playing. But saying that, I can see San Francisco going to 6-0 on that. But tonight's game, and you would automatically think that Chiefs going to win. It's going to be easy. They'll be done by halftime. Everybody will sit down and sing KUAW, all that. But it's still an NFL team, and sometimes when you have a wounded bear or a wounded animal, they come out fighting like heck. So we need to make sure that we take full of we, as in the Kansas City Chiefs, they just need to take care of business and play their game the way they should. Now, saying that, I hope that they will be able to rest up some of the players. Now, they are going to get an extra 3 days rest anyway. As Dayton Hughes said, he goes, when you actually play a Thursday night game, you know, they always say one game at a time. Well, when you play a Thursday game, he said that you prepare for 2 games, because usually your body is trying to heal up, and it will heal up by Friday. Well, you're playing a game a day before, so that tells you that your body is not completely healed up, you know, because it's muscle control and everything else. So you have to get physically healthy. Now, preparing mentally is not as bad. But he also said that having those extra days off is like having Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's Day off all at the same time. So they will be able to relax as they play the Chargers on the next week. And we definitely need that, because the Chargers, no matter how good or how bad they are, and no matter how good or bad we are, that game is always a tough game. And Justin Herbert, outside of him and Joe Burrow, are the only players, well, and Tom Brady, to have beaten Patrick Mahomes multiple times. So saying this, here's what I'm going to see. I think the Chiefs are going to play good defense. Now, Russell Wilson has been playing better, but I still think that they're going to shut him down. There's for several players that are out on the defense, so the offense needs to ground control the Denver Broncos and take out as few possessions as possible and just score every time that they can. Saying that, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs will beat the Denver Broncos by the score of 35-17. I think it's an 18-point victory. Coach 24, he sent me in his prediction and said that the Kansas City Chiefs will also beat the Denver Broncos. So, and like I said, for people, because I don't have a TV in front of me, check channel 41 or channel 8 on Comcast, or whatever channel it is on Spectrum, or on your dish networks. So we will at least get that game. So definitely we're going to have to enjoy that. So I have just a few more minutes. Um, the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA has taken a 2-0 lead over the New York Liberty, and is they are primed to win back-to-back titles. So, so for them, that is good. Um, they really dominated. Now, I will say this: on Monday night, Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Golden Knights started their NHL season on Tuesday, and Monday at the Raiders Packers game, they got their rings, and they virtually got the same type of ring that the Kansas City Chiefs did for their Super Bowl rings. And you can open up the top and have something in the middle, just like the Chiefs had. So, so that was pretty cool. And
Who was this now?
the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
yeah. So they got their rings and everything. And Jack Eckel, which I am happy for him, but I am mad at the same time because he was playing for Buffalo, and he didn't want to play for Buffalo. Well, he was tired of losing at Buffalo, and so he got traded. And I am a huge Buffalo Sabres fan, so I am not happy that he did go to Vegas, but congratulations to him, because I believe he was the MVP of the Stanley Cup. So we are approaching the end of our show. One last thing that I want to say is Mary Lou Retna. She is a phenomenal gymnast. Now, back in 1984, when I was 18 years old and she was 16, was dominating the world. She was the darling of the Olympics, and she ended up winning a gold medal for her team and for her individual events. Is having a rare type of pneumonia that does not allow her to breathe on her own. She is actually in ICU. The family has only given out a little bit of news for her, but I think this was important for me to mention because I remember watching her. I mean, she is 55 years old. She's a couple of years younger than I am. And, I mean, when you talk about people roughly around my age, they talk about her because she has 3 daughters, and they did not know how popular and how well loved she was, because she does have, I want to say it's called a spot fund. It's kind of like a GoMe fund, GoMe fund, but I think it's called spot fund. And because she was divorced 5 years ago from her husband, Shannon Kelly, and I do not know her financial statement and whatever, but I believe because the fact that she was self-employed, and she won gold medals 40 years ago, so she wasn't still continuing on profiting and making money. And it's not like it was today. I mean, yes, did she make some money? Yeah, she made some money, but not a whole lot. It was a whole different time. So she didn't, get the benefit, all the wealth that like today's athletes and even college football players. College football players make more money than Mary Lou Retna probably did in her entire career. So, but right now she is in the ICU. I believe she's in a Houston, Texas hospital. But I want to give out a shout out to her and just pray for her, because it's not looking good right now. And and you would think 55, it's not that bad. I'm a pretty healthy guy for 50 or for 57, but still, when something like this happens, I mean, I've seen younger people die of COVID than at a younger age than me. So, but give a prayer out to her, and I will definitely keep informed with my audience as we keep going through this, and hopefully she can get out of this and she can be better. But right now, it's a really a somber moment for her. And with that, and like I said, Chiefs 35-17, and with that, with Coach 24 Darwin Penny and DJ Scatter George Walker, I am Brian Kress, the Awesome Voice. Be awesome, not angry, and you guys have yourself a phenomenal weekend. And remember, KUAW,